So you have no idea why I just had a really good laugh, all of you, because I just spent about 3, 4 minutes giving a great opening to this video. And then I checked to see how long I'd been going, and I realized I hadn't hit record. So there you go. Um, so I'm Brad Schrag. I'm a good friend of Matthew McKnight's, and he asked me to do a little video talking about what I do with computers and kind of how I got here, what it takes to do what I do. And so what I'm going to do. In short, I work for US Bank, and I actually have been working at US Bank for 25 years as of this month. And to prove it, I will show you a letter I actually just got today. Woohoo, exciting, isn't it? Um, if you work 25 years at a place, maybe you'll get a letter too. It's from the CEO of the company, which is kind of fun, thanking me for 25 years of amazing, incredible service changing the world. Not quite. But anyway, so what I do is I support an application, which is what we call in the computer world the back end system that runs the commercial leasing business at US Bank. So if an organization, a business, were to lease some equipment, say a computer or a rail car or an aircraft or a truck or a fax machine, not very common, a printer. Um, their business, that work would go through the system that I work with. So what I do is not stuff that you would ever see. I do work that provides information then the front end people would then present to users and customers so they can know where their leases stand, if they're delinquent, what they owe, how to pay stuff, those kind of things. So the reason I like what I do is it's really about solving problems and providing tools for other people to do their job. If I write a report, say for our accounting group, I actually really don't care what the numbers are, as long as I know they're accurate and it's what the accounting group needs to do their jobs. Other kinds of programming, you care a lot about the developer cares a lot about what the code does and what the actual end result is. Isn't so much the case for me. Again, well, my goal in what I do is to help other people do their stuff. And if they say you're doing that, Brad, then I'm happy. I'm content. Um, how I got here goes back to my senior year of high school, first semester. There was a computer lab. I took a programming course in BASIC, and it was on a mix of Tandy TRS 80s, Tandy Radio Shack, and Apple IIs. And those computers had a whopping 4 kilobytes of memory. Yes, 4 kilobytes. You heard that right. And when I was during that year, actually, the Commodore 64 came out, which had a total of 64 kilobytes of memory.
Who are you talking to?
And she has asked my wife, "You're now in the video, Joy,
Who is it?
that I'm doing for Matt."
All right.
So there you go. That's kind of working from home. Things like that happen, little domestic things where you say hi to your spouse and tell her you love her. That's an aside from development, though. But yeah, 64 kilobytes of memory in the Commodore 64. When he thought, how could you ever fill up 64 kilobytes of memory? Well, these days you just create an icon, and that icon itself takes up more 64K. So things have changed. The first computers I used didn't understand lowercase. We had one Apple IIe that did uppercase and lowercase. And the guy I know who programmed on there said, "Yeah, my program's so fancy it can't run on your lame Apple IIs because it has lowercase letters." So again, the world has changed quite a bit. But I knew when that first class that I loved it. I loved making the machine do things, figuring out ways to make it, do a calculation, make it show something on the screen, make it whatever, make a sound, which at that point was kind of just beepy boopy, but made a sound. Use one of the 4 colors available to it to make a color. But again, just making it do stuff. And so I got hooked, and I decided I wanted to be a computer engineer. And I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I went off and did that. I went to school for that, 4 years at Boston University doing computer engineering. And I thought that I was going to basically have a career of sitting in an office somewhere designing computer circuits. And that was pretty cool. I ended up doing nothing like that because, as you will learn in life as you get older, all kinds of things happen you didn't expect. Long story short, I ended up in Minnesota working for MEC. You may have heard of them. They're Oregon Trail people. And I wasn't a programmer there. I actually was initially there to do software testing. So they wrote stuff. I tried to break it. But I moved into training, traveling around the country, teaching teachers how to use our software. And then I ended up in marketing, which was probably the lamest, worst part of the whole thing. That's actually why I left, because I didn't want to do that. But if you've played Oregon Trail on the Windows or Macintosh, the first version, you will hear me singing on some songs. If you played Oregon Trail 2, which was the first, I think, CD version, you will, and you play the whole thing, you will ultimately see me as 3 different characters. So there you go. I think if you start out in Independence, Missouri, you will find me standing in the middle of the town and you can talk to me. So there you go. And let's see, what else did I have? What were my notes? I was going to make sure I talked about stuff here. Yeah, so then after that, I actually spent a year at CompUSA doing training mostly on Microsoft products. That's what I got really good at, especially at Excel and Microsoft Access, which is my first hint at using databases for stuff. And then I was hired onto Cargill Leasing and to support the application I still support. So I basically worked on the same application for 25 years. That's kind of rare these days. I mean, a lot has changed. A lot has changed. But it's rare for people these days, at least in a lot of sectors, to stay in the same IT job for as long as I have. But it's been really interesting. I have survived several acquisitions and mergers of different banks, and that's how I've ended up now at US Bank, because Cargill sold us to First Star. And anyway, but so what I needed to get here for me personally was a real interest in making computers do things. And if you have that interest, odds are good, I think, that you'll be able to do something with it. I do have coworkers, though, who had very different paths to get here. One was working in residential group homes as like a caregiver of some type. Another man was he was a political science major, and he was teaching English to people in South Korea. And he said, you know what, I want to do computers. And he's doing that. And they're both doing really well, both smart people. So if you have an interest, it can start as a side gig or just poke around in yourself and just build your own little projects and stuff and do things. I would recommend, if you haven't yet, to pick a language, pick something that's common, well known. Python is a big deal these days. I don't know anything about it. I started at command lines, and so I like really low level command liney things. Google command line if you want, and if you don't know what that is. But learn 1 or 2 or 3 different languages is a good start. With that, after the first couple languages, especially one object-oriented kind of thing, or one, wow, I'm blanking out on the terms of what I usually do, more procedural. If you get some of those concepts in your head, you can pick up a lot of things on your own. So if you take formal instruction on a couple or few different languages, the next ones, again, there's a lot of resources online. You can do that. And you may find something that said, oh, I love this. I love doing this kind of thing. Like I said, I love making tools for people to do their jobs well. You may want to do graphic stuff. You may want to do games. You may want to do video, whatever. There are, you know what the kind of things are out there. You may want to do apps for phones. Yeah, and that's it. I think I would suggest if you were interested in doing computers is get some knowledge on databases, Oracle, SQL, that kind of stuff. Um, and uh, and we could talk about that if you want to at some point. But it's basically where's the data stored and how do you get to it? How do you analyze it? If you can combine some of that knowledge with be able to make a computer do things, write software, um, you can do incredible things with computers, and that's really cool, including AI, which of course is the big thing these days. Um, Other thing you want to be able to do is be adaptable. Computers, like I said, have changed so dramatically in what since I've been working on them. Excuse me. And if you have an interest in continually learning things, you'll do well, I think. Because again, it's kind of rare that to have a job like I have had, at least these days, where you can stay in kind of similar basic technology for as long as I have. I've learned a lot of new things, but I wouldn't have had to because what I was working on hadn't changed all that much on its own. So I taught myself other stuff. Um, so that's it. And a couple other things I will say. I've been working from home now for almost a year. It'll be a year on Monday next week. And so I can't show you my workspace at the office, but this is my lovely workspace, computer, laptop, keyboard, all that kind of stuff. Everything else is my wife's doing. Um, Also, one thing, if you're going to write computer software, you have to learn to have really bad posture. So you can sit like this in your chair, if you can see that. You can lean. You can just slouch and, like break your back kind of thing. That's really fun. Um, so have fun with it. And again, folks want to talk more about the kind of stuff I do, but hopefully the idea um, that if you're going to do computer software, there are so many options, so many kinds of things you can do. Explore some things. And odds are you will find something that you really enjoy doing. And that probably tells something about who you are, too, as a person. The kind of stuff you like doing. I like being in the background. For as much as I am in front of people a lot of time, I like being in the background. And so that's why I like doing the kind of work that I do on computers. And I guess that's it, I think. Look at my notes here. Yeah, I think that's it. So I wish you all luck and good luck on your merit badge.
Heading out west? So am I. In fact, this will be my second trip out on the trail. I traveled out to the Oregon country 3 years ago. Liked it a lot, so I decided to come back east, round out some of my relatives, and take 'em all back to Oregon with me. Find yourself a good wagon train. That's the prime thing. Keep moving and don't take no cutoffs. Stick to the main trail and you'll be okay.